As an academic, one of the things I'm asked to do more than almost anything else is to present my research. And this often doesn't matter how far along I am in my research. I've been asked to present my research at a very early stage in a project, and I've been asked to present my research in the middle and throughout and at the end, and even years after a research project was finished. I've been asked to present that research either at a conference or for a group of people who are interested, or even in class for my students. And so presenting what I did or what I'm doing is a really critical component of being an academic, but it can also translate to any other profession almost. There's always opportunities to kind of publicly in some way, shape, or form articulate what it is that you've done and really try to maybe influence a group of people that you're working with. And so I always go back to a structure that I learned from Simon Sinek, so you can check out his TED Talk. It's amazing, called Start With Why. This is probably the best thing he's ever done. But this structure that he more or less gives is start with why, move into how, and then what. But I think it's very, very, very applicable to presenting. So start with why. First thing off the bat that you should be talking about to your audience is why this piece of work is relevant to them. Most of the time, your audience is going to have a tough jump to make to get from where they are to what you have done. So you have to pass them through a series of filters in order to get them down to what you've done in a way that's going to actually even convince them to pay attention, let alone if you actually have an argument you want to make that you're trying to convince them of that argument. So starting with why, critical component of the presentation process. Then moving into the second component, how. So I often think about how is in terms of value. So how is what I'm doing or what I did creating value? How is it benefiting somebody? You can also think in academic terms, how is a process? So how did I do my research? What was that process that I went through? And the last piece, and this is the piece that people usually start with. So they usually put it the other way around. They start with what, and then they end on a why note. Really, the what is the substance, it's the meat, but it has to go through those channels first in order to get your audience really connected and grounded and anchored with what you did. So the what part is exactly that. Operationally, what is it that you came up with? What is the finding? What is your key idea? What is the takeaway from this piece of work? And when I structure my presentations, I really go about it in kind of percentiles. So I usually spend 20% of my time on the why. I spend 30% on the how, and then I spend 50% of my time on the what. Now that doesn't preclude a kind of circle back to the why at the end so you have a nice closer, but 20, 30, 50 is generally speaking the kind of structure that I use for my work. Again, the substance is still the what. The why is just to get them in the door, get everybody connected, kind of set the tone for the piece of work. The how is kind of the convincing them, hey, this is actually a piece that's really, really valuable. And now what? This is what I did. That can really help structure your work, structure the presentation, structure your time.